Greetings, Saber Force Conditioning, and hi Rick. You're asking about the differences between Shiim and Shiak strikes in Shicho. Well, it's very late, so I'm just going to try and work this through. I'm quite tired, but I'm going to work this through as best I can for you. I'm using two-handed grip for this, but the same thing will apply whether you're using two-handed or one-handed. Basically, what I was saying before is that you've got one hand up near the emitter. This is your fulcrum point. This is the point at which you're maneuvering your saber, if my camera will stay in focus. And you've got one hand down at the bottom, which is acting like a lever in this sort of a fashion. And the basic idea is that you're here for the shim, which is a tagging strike. You're using the edge of your blade, and it's a sort of a chopping attack in that sort of a way. It's not a full kind of chop, it's like a little tap. For a Shiak, you're using the tip of the blade and you're basically lining it up and thrusting. It's a thrusting attack. So the motion is basically the same, but it's when you lever. You lever in this kind of way where I'm pulling up on the backhand both times. But for a shim, you move in and lever in that sort of a way. So you come in, boom, and retreat. For a Shiak, you're lining it up first and pushing in. So more that sort of a way, where you line up and your body pushes the saber in and through your target. It's really a case of at what point you create this levering motion and whether you're trying to come down onto a target or push through the target. So you've got to think about what you're trying to attack with, which part of the blade you're trying to attack with. The same thing applies if you're doing this one-handed and you come forward and you tap. This time you don't have the lever at the back. You have to make the levering motion from the fulcrum point this way. So it comes like this. In Makashi you have basically 3 rotational points. I always tend to confuse these. The bottom one, however, I believe is the photosphere. I think the chromosphere is the middle one. I think the corona is the outer one. So you'll see a lot of Makashi people doing this kind of rotating, either from the tip, with a tip still rather, or rotating, trying to keep the midpoint as still as possible, or rotating and keeping the emitter still. Here what we're doing is, regardless of whether we're doing Shiim or Shiak, you're keeping the emitter still and you're maneuvering from there, or you're lining up and pushing. So you line up and push. And as I say, from a Shicho point of view, it's the same thing. You line up and push for a Shiak, and you lunge in and tap at the last minute for Shiim. Anyway, I hope that makes some sense. And if you've got any other questions, I'll do my best to explain, you know, to the best of my knowledge at any rate. Okay, hope that helps.